Liberate IT is an Oracle NetSuite solution provider that has been servicing Australian and New Zealand companies since 2011.
So with me today, hi everyone, my name is Steve Paea. I'm the sales manager at Liberate IT, and with me is Rebecca Paul. She's our solution consultant. Let me just turn my screen off so you don't have to look at me all the time. So the agenda today, as mentioned, I'm going to give you a bit of an overview about Liberate IT, about who we are. Then I'm going to take you through a bit of background to NetSuite, and then I'll hand the mic over to Rebecca. So a bit about Liberate IT. We've been around since 2011. We have over 120 customers across Australia and New Zealand, clients of different sizes, different industries. We've got customers that are a small startup, employment size of about 5, to our largest customer, which is a 5,000 user of NetSuite. So yeah, we work with so many different size organizations and industries as well across Australia and New Zealand. We're dedicated to NetSuite, so look, that's all Liberate IT does. We just focus on NetSuite, and we do that well. We awarded the 5-star award, which is the highest award that any partner can achieve through both implementations of NetSuite, but also working with clients and shifting systems to NetSuite. I'm quite excited to announce that we were awarded the Partner of the Year for 2021, which is JPAC, Excellence in Customer Service. So really stoked about that because that reflects on how we are as a company from our customers. So really stoked to be awarded this reflection across all the partners, NetSuite partners across Asia Pacific. So really just highlights again just the importance of Liberate IT and how we work with our customers, not only during new implementations, but also post go live as well, ongoing support and service. So if you look at just an overview on the ERP market, or ERP meaning Enterprise Resource Planning. So if you look at the traditional landscape, when you look at the smaller business, when companies that are using Xero or your MYOB, then you've got the mid-market, which is the Exonets of the world, the Epicor, the Green Trees, the Microsoft products, and then you've got the larger tier 1, which is the enterprise, which is traditional, the larger enterprise organizations, such as your governments, big, huge corporate multi-company, multi-subsidiary organizations that would use the traditional tier 1 system like your Oracle and SAP. Where NetSuite fits into it, we fit across all those 3 landscapes. So as I mentioned earlier, we work with a lot of companies that are small startups that had a small employee, but recognize the huge growth without growing some of the smaller systems like your Xeros or your MYOB. And we've got clients that are in the enterprise space as well. So really what this highlights is the ability for NetSuite to scale, and it does grow with you as companies grow and expand. So NetSuite is one unified system. And the beauty about NetSuite is that it's modular based. So what that means is we work with companies that are just looking for a standard finance accounting system, or we work with companies that want everything within NetSuite. So really highlighting that NetSuite is modular based and really working with companies what they want in terms of a new system from day one, but also what their future would look like as well. So again, it's just really understanding and working with businesses from what they want from the new system. So if you look across and what NetSuite could do from a one unified system, so it does all your sales, your quotes, marketing, case management, all the way through the financials, multi-company, does asset management, procurement, manufacturing, and supply chain. And then we look at that outer circle in terms of the different internal stakeholders or internal users within the organization, having that capability and visibility to see across the business, but then it also extends to your customers as well, also third parties. So we're looking at integration to your websites or some other third-party applications. NetSuite has that integration capability. but also for your customers and your partners and vendors as well, being able to access NetSuite. But it's all user-based as well, so it's really specific to your customers. For an example, your customers being able to view their order history, your customers being able to ask for a quote. This is all online, and also getting copies of their invoices and statements. That's really the functionality of NetSuite really extends not only to that, but also outside as well. So a bit about NetSuite. NetSuite has been around since 1998, so it's a mature product. If you look at some of the other systems out there in the current market that have just come out with their cloud ERP system, NetSuite been built in the cloud since day one. So it's been around since 1998. So what that means is you'll be working with a system that is much more mature, a system that has a much more robust infrastructure when you're looking at data centers and looking about upgrades and maintenance. That's NetSuite. So a few years ago, NetSuite got acquired by Oracle. So what that means in terms of NetSuite itself, really, it's really having a huge organization like Oracle being able to get behind it and support and help grow NetSuite in its space. It's used by over 18,000 organizations globally. There are about 1,000 in, about 500 in New Zealand that use NetSuite, and about over 1,000 in Australia that use NetSuite. It has data centers in Australia, in Melbourne and Sydney, and it is ranked the #1 cloud ERP. So when I talked about the different sizes and organizations that we work with, here is a snapshot in the different industries that we work with as well, from manufacturing, wholesale distribution, media publishing, food and beverage, financial services, and non-for-profit. So that's what I sort of touched on earlier about NetSuite being modular based. It's really working with our customers and finding the best solution for the business. So just touching on NetSuite features, again, if you look across its capability, NetSuite has a professional services capability. It does finance, accounting, it does your CRM, does your inventory, revenue recognition, sales order management, purchase order management, case management, fixed assets, manufacturing, warehouse and distribution, global account consolidation. Again, being modular based, yeah, you may not need all these applications. That's why we work with Liberate I.T to be able to find an ideal solution for you. So if we're looking at our approach when it comes to implementation, so for new businesses, for our new customers, so we do a shared implementation approach. So that's working with our customers through the implementation. We also recommend our customers to have an internal NetSuite champion or that power user of the solution. And you'd be also working with industry experienced consultants. So a lot of our consultants also have a finance and accounting background, qualified accountants. We have consultants that are specific to the industries as well. For example, we have manufacturing expert consultants, we have wholesale distribution, warehousing consultants. So really it's identifying the ideal solution, but also the team that's going to be implementing NetSuite with your business. So our approach when it comes to new customers that sign up to Liberate I.T and NetSuite. So if let's say you sign up, we start off with the workshops, and then sitting down, understanding your business requirements. Then we go through and identify your hopefully your NetSuite champion training. We configure NetSuite, and the beauty about NetSuite is being a cloud-based solution. A lot of the solution comes pre-configured, so that really helps. Really going into the configuration of NetSuite, it is easily configurable and designed, which you'll see in the demonstration today, how easy it is. And then we look at master data. This is around data migration. We talk about customizations and integration. So, for example, you may have an existing website, for example, a Shopify or WooCommerce or BigCommerce, Magento, and you want to integrate that to NetSuite. So, as an example, we do integrations with clients if they have existing applications that they want to integrate to. We refine your processes, so that's a lot of back and forth going through Netsuite to make sure that we've got it right. We do a full process testing with your wider team. We do a user acceptance testing and training, and then we're going to go live, uploading balances. And then and once we have to go live, we transition it to our what we call hypercare, which is our support team. So working with Liberate IT, not only through the sales processes, identifying and putting the solution together, we take you through we get you set up, we get your system implemented, and then you have the support as well. So, Liberate IT is a one-stop shop when it comes to new projects and working with existing customers as well. So these are some of our customers that we have across Australia and New Zealand. Again, different companies, different sizes, different industries, and more than happy to put you in touch if you want to have a chat with some of our customers who'll be able to share their experience working with Liberate IT and how they're finding the system working today. And here are some more of our customers. Again, we've got over 120 customers across Australia, and these are some of them. Okay, so before I hand it over to Rebecca, again, please, in the chat or the Q&A, please fire them through. Rebecca will pause throughout the presentation to see if there's any questions that we're going through. So on that note, I'll hand it over to you, Rebecca. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Steve. Just checking that you can hear me okay.
Yes, can you hear? Thanks, Rebecca.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm just about to share my screen. Please let me know that you can see my screen okay. Right, can you see my Netsuite screen?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, wonderful. So thank you, Steve, for that introduction. As Steve mentioned earlier, there's a lot to Netsuite. Today, I'm going to give a sort of high-level overview of Netsuite, but focusing more on a WD, warehouse and distribution business. There are other parts to Netsuite, such as manufacturing or professional services for those companies who create projects and have consultants entering time and expenses. But today we're going to focus solely on a warehouse distribution business. As I go through the demonstration, please feel free to ask any questions, whether on something we've covered or a topic that just comes to mind. So please feel free to ask any questions as we go. So what we're going to cover off today is a little bit about the structure of Netsuite. We'll go through the dashboards, the different roles, how permissions are set. We'll go and look at some customers and have a little bit of a look at the CRM. We'll go in and create a sales transaction, do some procurement, and then finally have a look at some reporting. But as I mentioned, please feel free to ask any questions as we go. Okay, so I'm signed into Netsuite. Every single person who has access to Netsuite will have at least one role. Your role governs your permissions, what you can access in the system, how you navigate through the system, and also what you can see on your dashboard. So I'm logged in as the administrator. It is the all singing, all dancing role. And typically only the Netsuite champion or business owner would have access to the administrator role because it's got access to the whole system. There are no permissions over the administrator role. Netsuite is online only. There is no offline capability with Netsuite, but you can access Netsuite on any device that can access the internet. Okay, so I'm currently logged in over here. You'll see as Catherine Glass, and I'm currently an administrator. And hovering over here, you can see I have access to all of these other roles. As I mentioned, typically only people will have, or users will only have one role, but for the purpose of the demonstration, I've got all of these roles. And After we've covered the dashboards, I'll go in and show you some of the other roles and how they may look. Okay, so this is the dashboard. I'm going to cover over a couple of the portlets to give you an idea about the information trying to be portrayed on the dashboard. So over here is our reminders portlet, and it's probably one of the most popular portlets on the dashboard, or even really functions of NetSuite. The reminders portlet works a lot like your to-do list. It governs, it's, you know, as I see here, it works like a to-do list. I can see all of the things that I need to do, but also things that I might need to be aware of. So here we've got a saved search or a KPI that says I've got 89 overdue invoices. Everything that you can see here is completely clickable and drillable into the list. So I've clicked on overdue invoices. I open up everything in a new tab because when I'm finished, it means I can close that and go back to where I was. So I can see here is a list of all of the overdue invoices. I can pick any one of these and further drill into it. So I can click into the specific invoice. We can also change these views to show specific information that you might want to see. So I can see over here, I've got my invoice, and now I'm at that actual transaction, drilling all the way from the dashboard. You can always get into the granular level of that transaction. So as I mentioned before, then I can click out. One of the other things that you'll notice here is we've got some invoices that are highlighted orange. You can put dynamic filtering and highlighting in these searches to show specific information. So clearly these ones here are highlighted orange for any invoice that's over 92 days or 90 days. So you can put in your own exceptions into these reports. So this here is a reminder for all overdue invoices. Some of these invoices could have been overdue a day or two. So then you can put additional filters over any search. And I've got one here to say, show me any invoices over 30 days that are over $25,000. So you can start to manage by exception, where maybe the business owner wants to see these kinds of reports, but isn't really interested in how many are overdue. It's more how many are overdue over so many days, or over a certain dollar value. We've got other things on our reminders portlet like bills to approve. So NetSuite has inbuilt into it a full DFA approval process, and we can work with your business to replicate your DFA process into NetSuite. So it might be as simple as just having the supervisor approving bills, or it might be that you have departmental approvers. We will work with you to set that up in the system, but anytime there is something to approve, it'll pop up on that person's reminders portlet to be approved. We can also get these notifications emailed. So maybe you might want at the end of the day or at the beginning of every day, a list of all the things that you need to approve or action. The next one that we've got here is an expense report to approve. So within NetSuite, we can create expense reports. So this could be either for a credit card or for an employee's, where they use their own money to buy things for the company. So we've got one here created by Adam Young. I can go in and have a look at this transaction, and I can see here that it's got a status of pending subordinate approval. So my expense report here, we can list all of the things that this expense report is for, the dollar value, any receipts, I can look at those receipts. All the information is here for me to be able to decide whether I want to accept or reject this expense report. Once it's approved, it then flows on naturally to the next person in the chain. And this is all completely based on reminders. So once this is approved, it flows automatically to the next person. So again, like the bill approval process, we've also got one for expense reports. Moving on to some of the other portlets that we've got here. One is the Key Performance Indicator portlet. So key performance indicators is just a list of areas of the business that you might want to track your KPIs on. The system comes pre-populated with about 120 saved searches and reports, and these can be used for both reminders, key performance indicators, but you can also create your own based on the information that you want to track. And with this, we can look at any different comparison periods. So for sales, I'm looking at this month versus last month, and we can see this month we haven't made any sales, but last month we've got our sales here. We can look at income, inventory over any different time comparison period. We can also come through and add additional KPIs. So we can add standard KPIs, and what that means is these are pre-built KPIs that come out of the box with Netsuite. So we might want to track our cost of goods sold or our fixed assets, for example. So I've clicked on both of those. I simply hit done, and it's going to add them to the end of my report. I can then choose what my comparison ranges are. So we've got this period versus last period. I might want to have this year versus last year, etc. Then I can add my custom KPIs, which again, these are all of the saved searches that I or anyone else in our company has created. And we'll save. So now we can see those two have been added to my key performance indicator portlet. So some of the other things we've got here, a nice little graph, and you can have graphs of any information that you're capturing. We're looking at this monthly, we can look at it yearly. We might want to look at the information daily, and we can go back to monthly. I can also look at this information as maybe as a graph, and then really quickly I can look at my comparisons of this year versus last year. So I can see this year's sales versus last year's sales and that comparison trend. As well as our key performance indicators up here, you'll also notice that there's a little squiggly line. This is also a trend graph. So if we click on the squiggly line, it'll give us a trend graph for our monthly sales. And just like the graph below, we can look at this in different ways, again with different comparison periods. And then I can go back and have a look at sales this year versus last year, all extremely quickly. And we can also export this information, or I can take a download of this image. Okay, some of the other things that we're showing, we've got a key performance scorecard here, and what the scorecard is doing is it's giving us a snapshot into a specific area of business. So in this case, this one's sales, and we're looking at lots of different indicators. So we're looking at sales across different periods, new business, the number of orders, and the average deal size. But you can have this for other areas of business. So, for example, we might want to look at vendor performance. So we've got a vendor scorecard here, and it shows things like the number of purchase orders, the number of orders received, value of returns, those kinds of things. Now you can create your own with your own indicators and your own time periods. But as I mentioned before, the system comes pre-populated with a lot of these different scorecards, so you can get out of the box working really easily and really quickly. Over here, we've got a calendar, and the calendar can sync with your Outlook calendar. We also sync with Outlook So any email messages that are sent out of NetSuite, the reply will come back into NetSuite as well as into your inbox. So there is a connection with Outlook, and we'll get into that in a little bit further detail when we go and have a look at a customer record. Okay, so this is having a little bit of a quick look at the administrator dashboard. Let's go and have a look at a bit more of a specific role. We might go and have a look. So you can see how the information is specific to each of those different roles. So we'll have a look at a CFO role. Now the system comes provisioned with about 30 sort of standard roles, and then during the implementation what we do is we customize those to suit your business, so by adding and removing permissions and tinkering the different permission levels. So each of those roles are specific to your business. So under our CFO role, we can see here firstly that all of the reminders are specific to everything that a CFO would want to see. Purchase orders that need to be billed, return authorizations to approve, we've got some periods to close, again our overdue invoices, and maybe some credit memos to apply. Our key performance indicators are all, again, financially driven and things that maybe a CFO would want to see. We've got a graph of our monthly receivables, monthly account balance trend. Our scorecard is all around financial information, so all of those financial indicators that a CFO would want to see. And then we've got a nice little aging summary and a list of all our banks and our bank reconciliation summary. So again, very specific to information that maybe a CFO would want to see. If we come down, we might want to look at a sales manager. So we can see really quickly that all the information here is specific to what a sales manager would want to see. All things are regarding to opportunities, sales, new customers, new leads, new opportunities. And again, our scorecard is all around sales, and we've got some saved searches around sales rep conversions, conversions and quotes. So again, very specific to something that a salesperson would want to see. If we go back to our administrator role, it's very easy to customize the dashboards. We can move things around very easily. I might want my reminders to be in the middle. I might want my calendar to be the first thing I see. We can also change our layout. So we've got this layout set at the moment. We might want to have the thin bar on the other side or have a 3-column dashboard. You can configure the dashboard in any way that you choose. And then you can also add additional graphs and portlets. So we might here want to add a custom search. We can also add maybe another KPI meter. So I simply close those. We can pick that we now want to look at open estimates. And I could pick a save search that I wanted to show the information. And then when I don't want something, I can either remove it, or by clicking up here, we can also minimize that information. Okay, are there any questions regarding roles, permissions, dashboards before we move on to the next topic?
Nothing's come through in the chat, Rebecca, so we're all good from here.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that. Excuse me. One of the next key features of NetSuite would be the global search. So this bar at the top here, global search works a lot like Google search, and that it searches your entire database after you've entered 3 characters. So I'm looking for a customer called Black Dragon. So I'm going to type in BLA. Now the system starts searching after 3 characters, and it's brought every single search that has BLA in it. And it doesn't necessarily need to be at the beginning. So we can see here that BLA is a contact record and BLA is at the end. We've got an Excel file. Again, it's looking at the word blank. And so it's brought up lots of different records. We've got here customers, contacts, vendors, some saved search, an Excel file, a contact, and a lot more results in here. So it could either continue in one of two ways. If I kept typing, it's going to keep narrowing down my information. But what I can also do is I can put in a prefix. So every single record and transaction has a prefix. So CU is customer, CO is contact, OP is opportunity, IT is item, INV is invoice, and so on. So I'm going to type in CU, and it's going to bring me back every customer that has got BLAC in the name. So I'm looking now at Black Dragon Corp, my company. So really quickly, you can start trying to find information via the global search. So it searches for records. It also searches your database for fields. So you might want to be looking for phone numbers if we typed in a phone number, if we also typed in customers' purchase order numbers, reference numbers. The system will search the database and give you back the results where anything is matching. Okay, so I've come through to a customer record. Now, everything you see in NetSuite can be completely configured or customized to show information how you want to see it. So on this record here, bearing in mind that this is a demo account, any one of these fields can be removed, it can be moved to a different spot, and we can create any number of custom fields. So there's no limit to how many custom fields you can create. So if you want to track something specific to a customer record or any other transaction in the system, it's very, very easy to create a custom field and start recording that information. So I've got my customer record here, and it's got all of my primary information at the top, and then all of our sort of transactional and specific information held down in these tabs. So I'll cover off a couple of them so you can sort of see the information that we're tracking on a customer record. So the first tab that we've got here is our sales tab, where it lists out all of our transactions. One of the other things to note is that although we can change all of the fields, adding, removing, moving around, we can also move these tabs. And this can be for each different role. So for example, if you're a salesperson, you might want to see this sales tab first, but if you're in the finance team, you might want to see the financial tab first. It really depends on how you want to see that information, but the system is fully configurable in that way. So here we can see a list of all of the different transactions for this customer. We can click on any one of these transactions to open it up. I can also look at for a specific transaction. So I might want to go through and look for all of the invoices for this customer. So once I've selected the invoice, the system will run and show me all of the invoices for this customer. I can go back and look at, again, all of those. I can also look at anything that's just open. So all of the transactions that have been processed will disappear, and I'm only looking at all of the transactions that are open. We can see any opportunities that this customer has had, any items purchased. So these items are purchased for the lifetime of NetSuite. So this is a list of all of the items, and it's totaled up the quantity. So I can sort this list by quantity to see the items that the customer's purchased the most of, or I can look, this list is very handy when you're looking for items that customers have recently purchased, especially if they're wanting to purchase more, where we can sort this list by last purchase date, and it will show the items in the last purchase date order. One of the other really neat tabs here is the Customer 360. So the Customer 360 gives you just what it says, a 360-degree snapshot of the life of this customer. So we can see firstly a little bit of a scorecard. How many orders have they processed? And again, this is for the lifetime of NetSuite. So they've purchased 48. We've done 46 fulfillments. So instantly that tells me that we've got 2 sales orders that haven't been fully fulfilled. The goods haven't been sent. We've done 44 invoices, which again tells me that we've got 2 sales orders that need to be invoiced. We can see that we've got 20 returns. And again, it's given me a bit of a snapshot of the figures around sales and returns. We can see a list of all of their open sales orders, maybe their open invoices and credit notes. Again, top selling items that they've purchased. And then a snapshot of the 12 months. And this is a rolling 12 months of their sales. So you can see a rolling 12-month history of their purchasing habits. And again, the same with their monthly returns. The next tab that's of relevance is the Communications tab. So this Communications tab is where all of the activity towards the customer is captured. So you can see here that we've got lots of different types of activities. We've got phone calls, events, and tasks. And so you can capture phone calls, events, and tasks against your contacts and your customers. I can go in and have a look at any one of these, but we can see here who created it within our company and who from the, again, who it was assigned to. So really handy to use these activities as a way of communicating internally and keeping all of that information about the customer. So for example, if I wanted to create a new phone call, I can schedule a time or I can keep it open, and I might want it to be chasing invoice. Really handy for accounts payable. So, or when customers call and someone needs to be called back, because what we can do here is we can attach related records. So because I'm creating this phone call from the company, it's already brought through the company and the contact. Now I can attach here a transaction. So this means that if I'm assigning it to myself for a later date or to someone else, all of the information is here at their fingertips without having to go through and find that information. So I'm going to save that. So I can see here that I've got a chasing invoice phone call to make, and under related records, I can see who I need to call, and I can also click on that transaction and open that up. So all of the information is here at my fingertips. And once I've finished it, I can then start to see all of the history. The other thing worth noting is this chasing invoice phone call, because I have tagged it to the transaction, under the communication tab of this invoice will sit this phone call record. So if accounts payable is making lots and lots of calls chasing up invoices and you go into the communication tab, you can see all of that history. So as well as phone calls, phone calls, events and tasks, it's also capturing our email messages. So as I mentioned before, NetSuite can send out these email messages, all of our invoices, maybe order confirmations, credit notes, statements, all of those emails are captured here. We can also send emails out of Outlook and sync up into NetSuite. So everyone can see the same information. And then We're also tracking things like relationships, so we can see if there's a parent-child relationship. These are all the sub-customers and any contacts that are attached to this customer. We're also tracking the financial information. So what are their price levels? What's their credit limit?Maybe what their payment terms are. All of that information is being captured here, along with their account balance information, their days overdue, etc. A couple more tabs before we move on to some transactions. We've got our support tab. So this is where we can create support tickets, maybe for items and complaints or incorrect items, maybe returns that they want to make. We can capture all of that information here under NetSuite's case management system. And again, NetSuite's got an inbuilt marketing engine, and from here we can see all of the campaigns that this customer has been sent. Okay, now we're going to go off and create some transactions, but before we do we have any questions, Steve?
Hi, Rebecca. No questions. You must be doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. Okay, let's continue. So we're going to start this process here from an opportunity record. You definitely don't need to start the transaction from a sales transaction from an opportunity record, but I'm just going to start it from an opportunity. You can start it from either an estimate or a sales order. I'm just going to start it from an opportunity so you can see that process flow. Now I've got an opportunity already created here that's in progress. We've got all the relevant information, all of the items that the customer is looking at. So I'm simply going to come along and create my estimate. Now what it's going to do is once you've entered the information once, you don't need to retype or rekey the information. It pulls through from transaction to transaction as you go through the process. So it's brought through all of the main information. I'm going to select my location where I want the goods to come from. We can see that it's created from my opportunity. So there's always a link as you push the transactions through so you can go back through the stages at a later date. All of my items have pulled through and I'm going to save my estimate. I can now print a copy of the PDF of this transaction, or I can simply email the customer a copy of this quote. Once I email a copy of the quote to the customer, it'll view here. And as this is a demo account, once we create an estimate, an email is automatically sent. So you can see here it went from me to the info email address, subject pre-populated with the quote attached. So this customer here wants to go ahead with the order. All we need to do is do one click to create our sales order. Okay, so as previously we saw before, all of the information has pulled through onto our sales order record. Now we've got a pop-up up here to tell us that one of the items that we've got on the sales order, we don't have any available to commit to the order at this location. So I've currently got 0 back ordered and I've got 1 already on order. So I'm going to go OK. So all of the information has pulled through. I want to do a purchase order. So there's our purchase order. Okay, so we can see here we've got all of our items have pulled through. This is the quantity that we've ordered, so 1 of everything. We've got, of these 2 items here, we don't have any in stock at our Melbourne location. But for these 2 items, we've got 2 available at our location. Now, with these items here, I want to indicate one of the features of NetSuite is we can do what we call a special order. So you might have items that you only ever order for customers or when a customer has ordered. They might be high value or Things that you don't want to stock may not be a high turnover item. So we can have them as a special order item, which means that anytime they appear on a sales order, the system will automatically create you a purchase order. So I'm going to go ahead and save my sales order. And what it's going to do is it's going to take a little moment because it's also going to process my purchase order at the same time. So we can see here I've got my sales order that'll open up in a new screen, and it's created this processed purchase order. So we've got our sales order here. The first thing we'll notice is it's pending fulfillment, and we've got a little blue fulfill button. And the reason for that is because we've got some goods in stock that we can send out automatically or instantly. So these two items here that are in stock are committed to the order. And because these are committed to the order, it means that no other order can take that stock. These items have been allocated to this order. So our item over here, as I mentioned before, it was a special order item. So it's already gone ahead and created that purchase order and linked that purchase order to the sales order. So it means that when the goods come in from this purchase order and they're receipted, they will be automatically allocated and committed to the sales order. So we've got the purchase order here, and we can see here that it was created from the sales order. So I'm going to go ahead and receive this item, or sorry, this purchase order. We're going to receive it into our Melbourne location. We've got some inventory detail. So this is the bin number it's going to go into. The status of the inventory is good. And we're going to go OK. I can save this item receipt, or I can save and create the supplier bill if I had a copy of that, but I don't. So I'm just going to save the purchase order for the moment. So if I go back to my purchase order, we will see the status of this purchase order as pending billing. So we've received it, but I haven't billed it yet. Okay, I'm going to close my purchase order and refresh my sales order. So as I mentioned, because we've receipted that purchase order, it's now committed that one item against the sales order. Okay, so we've got these three items ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and fulfill this sales order. So it's only bought through the three items that we have in stock. I'm just going to enter our, we don't need to do that for those. And I can choose to save and invoice my sales order or just save it. I'm going to save it at the moment. Oh, I don't have a bin number ready. Might close that. Let's just fulfill our one order. And I'm going to save this transaction without invoicing it. Now, one of the things that Liberate recommends is that once you've been live with NetSuite is to do what we call automatic invoicing. So automatic invoicing goes through and looks at all of your sales orders that have got a fulfillment attached to them that was processed that day, and it goes and automatically creates those invoices for the goods sent, and then automatically emails a copy of the invoice to the customer. And it just means that it's one less step, a manual step that no one needs to do. It can just be something that the system can automatically create for you. Now, on our item fulfillment record, this is where we would record all of our shipping information. So who the shipping carrier was, any shipping costs, and then the packages that we've got and the tracking numbers of those packages. From here, we can send out order confirmations to the customer with tracking details to let them know that their parcel is on the way and what the tracking details are. Once we go back to the sales order, we can see here that the one line that we have sent has been picked, packed and fulfilled, but not invoiced. These 2 items that I haven't sent are still sitting as committed and will remain to sit there as committed until we've fulfilled the whole order. And we can now see that my bill button is blue because it means that I can now go ahead and invoice this 1 item. Now, we've still got 1 item here that is on back order. So I want to go through and just show you one of the other neat features of NetSuite, which is the order items page. I'm going to come back through to our home screen, and I'm going to go back to our reminders portlet. So we've got this items to order. Okay, so what we've got here is our items to order screen. We can filter this by location or vendor. But what this list is it's bringing up a list of all items across all of our locations and all of our suppliers that we need to purchase based on our reorder points and preferred stock levels. So this item here in our Melbourne location is the item that's sitting back ordered on my sales order. It's pulled through my preferred vendor and the preferred currency attached to that vendor. So here I can see that we've currently got a back order of 1. So that's the item that's sitting on my sales order. I've currently got 1 item on order. I've got a reorder point of 1, which means when my stock level gets to 1, it's going to alert me that I need to create a purchase order. And I've got a preferred stock level of 2. So taking all of that into account to get me back to my preferred stock level, it's recommending I need to order 2. Now we can put things against these items such as minimum order quantities, but in this case we don't have that, so it's just saying we need to order 2. I can come through and I can increase that. I say, look, we might, I know there's another order coming through, so I might want to increase that to 3. And then I can simply hit submit. What I can also do if I wanted to order multiple items across multiple vendors or locations, it will create 1 purchase order per location per supplier. So it doesn't matter if they're mixed, if I have mixed things picked on here, it will simply create 1 purchase order per supplier per location. Okay, I'll just wait for this to refresh and process. Okay, great. Now it has created that purchase order for me. Now you can have a couple of things happen. You might want that anytime a purchase order is created, it automatically sends a copy of the PDF off to the supplier. Or you might want to have an approval process built into this and manually send off your purchase orders. It's completely up to you. But we've now got a purchase order for 3 of these items for the Melbourne location. And again, once I receive these items, it will commit these items to my sales order. Okay, any other questions before we move into reporting?
No, Rebecca, just sort of being mindful of time as well. So yeah, we've got a few more minutes to go. But no questions from me.
Okay, great. So what we'll do now is we'll cover off reporting before we finish up on the hour. Okay, so NetSuite, like with our saved searches, comes pre-populated with lots of different reports straight out of the box. And then from every report we've got, we can completely configure and customize these reports to show the information that we want to see and how we want to see it. So the first report I'm going to cover off is our income statement or our profit and loss. It's showing our P&L sitting here, so I can again drill down into any of these figures to see the granular level of this information. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to extend out the date range a little bit for the report. I'll make it to the end of this financial year. Now, one of the things that we can do is we can look at the information across different ways. So we're currently looking at the total of this information. We might want to look at this by different class. So when I say class, a lot of people use classes as product categories. So within Netsuite, you've got 4 different ways to create classifications across the system. So the first way that we've got is subsidiary. So this is if you're running multiple companies, you might have different companies for maybe different countries, or you might have them for different types of businesses that you've got all within Netsuite. The second is class, and often customers use this as product category. So you'll have different product categories attached to your item, and then every time those items appear on a transaction, it's linked to that product category. Departments is another one, and locations. So then we can start to look at our all of our reports in the same way, maybe by class. So if I refresh my P&L, the same income statement, but I'm now looking at this split out by our different classes. I might want to look at this by location. So that was the locations that we've got set up: Melbourne, Perth, Sydney. The same P&L now split out by the different locations. We can also look at this maybe by accounting period. So it's now going to split out our same P&L across all of those different accounting periods or months, if you wish. Every one of these reports, we can export them to Excel, PDF, Word. I can get them emailed to someone, and we can also schedule any report to be emailed. So you might have people out on the road, and every morning they might want a report on sales for yesterday or this month to date, etc. So you can have reports scheduled to be automatically sent to people. The next report I want to cover off just before we finish up is sales. So we might have here a sales by customer report. So let's go back here to the 1st of the 1st, 2021. So I know we've got some sales information. So here we're looking at a list of all of our customers and the sales for this customer. Now what I want to do here is just show you how easy it is to customize and configure a report, to show you exactly how you want to see the information. So what I want to do here is I want to add in our sales reps. So I'm going to customize my report. And down here, I'm going to come in and we're going to look at our sales rep. And where is their sales rep's name? So I've now added my sales rep to the report, but I actually want to bring my sales rep to the beginning of my report, and I want to group my sales reps, and I want to group all the customers by my sales reps. So I'm going to group these together. Now I can come in and I can sort my report. So it was currently sorted alphabetically by customer, but I actually want to come in and group that by sales rep. So now I'm going to come in and sort it by sales rep. And actually, I'm going to add this one to the beginning. So it's first sorted by sales rep, then by customer. And lastly, I want to save my report, so I can rename that demo company. So it's sales rep by customer. There we go. And I'm going to save my report. So now we can see here my sales rep at the beginning and all of my customers that feature that will have. So I can sort that up. So I've only got Will and unassigned. So we can see now all of the customers that Will has under himself. So very quickly it is to customize our reports to show the information how we want to see that.
We hope this video gave you the information you were after. If you have any further questions, get in touch with us using the links in the description.